Good morning, this is Real World News, a journalism program produced by the students at QUT. My name is Molly Turner and our guest today is Dr Katherine Kirkwood. Dr Kirkwood is a sessional academic with the QUT Creative Industries faculty. Her latest research has focused on post-gourmet food culture in Australia. Thanks for being here today. So to kind of set the scene, would you be able to tell us a little bit about gourmet food culture and what is it?
So I guess traditionally when we think about gourmet food culture, we tend to think of French food, haute cuisine, particularly if we think back to like the 1950s and the 1960s. Folks like Julia Child popularised French cuisine on her TV show. But now, fast forward to the 2000s, I researched MasterChef and kind of looked at how, more fancy or refined food was brought to mainstream Australia, and now how all of us everyday people are kind of having really intricate conversations about food and trying new things in the kitchen.
Absolutely. That's very interesting, thank you. In your thesis, you've discussed kind of a shift in perception about what constitutes good food. What would you say has been the most recent defined shift?
So I guess gourmet or fancy food is kind of only one conceptualization of what it means to eat good food. Today, we're thinking more about health, and we're also really starting to think about the environment and sustainability, and I think the environmental and sustainability angle is perhaps the most potent shift in recent times.
Absolutely. So how would you say that perception has affected kind of our perception on people who can't access such good food?
I guess there's the fact that, higher welfare meat or animal products tend to be more expensive or harder to access. And I guess on an everyday level, there's already disparity between, food access as it is. We talk about things like food deserts where there isn't access to good food. And so, accessing then that higher welfare stuff, accessing more fruit and veg, that also is harder because it's more expensive and perhaps not within proximity to where people live.
Absolutely. And to what kind of extent would you say that morality and food have become entangled?
Well, to eat ethically and sustainably is a moral pursuit. I guess people feel better about what they eat if they're eating high welfare products or if they're eating things that, eating products produced by local people and supporting local business. Again, that's really hard for people who can't access it, but I guess if we start incrementally, and yes, we're going to have early adopters and people who are more readily able to eat that kind of food and support those kind of businesses, hopefully that kind of phenomenon will spread. And we can already see with large supermarket chains that higher welfare produce is becoming more of a priority for them, and also more environmental concerns around food consumption. So, reducing the sale of single-use plastics, the plastic bag ban, supermarkets being fueled by green energy. These are all moves towards making food consumption more ethical and sustainable to a certain extent.
Fantastic, thank you so much for that. Do you have anything else that you'd like to kind of add to the conversation?
I know that food can be a really contested sort of area. People feel, in our conversation about having more ethical approaches to food, people can feel, I guess, threatened or like they must engage in these kind of practices. But I think, if there's one takeaway, it's, let's be a bit more mindful about what we eat because, it's a really fundamental part of looking after ourselves, but looking after the world around us.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Molly.
That's all we have time for today. My name is Molly Turner and this has been QUT Real World News. See you next time.